One of the hardest parts about healing is that people expect it to be dramatic, when in all reality, it's often slow, methodical, and requires time. In today's video, we're going to cover why healing feels so slow and what you can do to help the process. There's often a lot of misconceptions when people come into therapy. Quite frequently, people will have this idea that they will be able to just come in and a therapist can quickly help them get over their depression or anxiety or trauma or whatever it is that they're suffering with. But the real problem is that emotional patterns take time for us to develop. For example, many of these automatic negative thoughts or patterns have began when we were children, when we were 6, 7, 8 years old. And when we were that age, these emotional patterns were able to help us through whatever situation that we had. But as we got older, those automatic thoughts were no longer relevant. We didn't need them anymore. But the patterns of emotional responsiveness stay the same. And so what happens is, over a period of time, the nervous system learns patterns of emotions and behavior, and it becomes ingrained into our system. And so it can be very hard and long. It can be a very long process for us to try to change many of these patterns. So that's why people often get frustrated when they don't see very quick change in their emotions or in their behaviors. Also, we need to focus on the fact that the brain also um, notices patterns of negative emotions much quicker than it recognizes or remembers patterns of positive behavior. Why is this? It's very important because this is a survival technique that the body uses to help us remember what we had negative context from, so we don't enter into that behavior or situation again. For example, if you almost got bit by a bear when you're in the forest, then your brain is going to remember that very strongly, so that you don't go back to that part of the forest. That's just a metaphor, but it can happen in all kinds of things. Many people think that healing is supposed to look like just this ka-ching, this breakthrough moment where everything's going to get better. And that's just not how it works. That's not how it happens. So first off, let's talk about this pattern of anger or emotional reactivity. Anger can often be a response from the nervous system that causes us to fight instead of flight. And so when this type of behavior happens, the body learns that anytime I feel like I'm in danger, then I need to have an emotional reaction that's called anger for us to be able to push forward and feel safe. This emotional responsiveness to anger is something that you've built in over a period of time. You don't remember it. It's all happening unconsciously. And so what happens is, when you begin to get healing from these problems, it may not necessarily be that all of a sudden you don't have any anger anymore. It's just that you're able to get over your anger a little quicker, or your emotional awareness improved and you was able to identify what caused the anger, why I was in a high risk, those types of things. Secondly, in depression, which are another common emotional reaction that we can have. Depression doesn't necessarily mean that I go to the therapist and take a pill or do whatever and all of a sudden I'm better. It may mean that I'm not sleeping in the bed as often, as many hours a day as I was. I'm able to get up and send some text messages to some friends who have been trying to get into contact with me. I begin to enjoy some of the things that I that I have been putting off because I'm not enjoying them anymore. It doesn't mean that this is just an all of a sudden breakthrough. It means that healing takes time. Healing takes time. Another analogy, the gym. You don't go to the gym and all of a sudden you are buff and have big muscles. That just doesn't work that way. You have to be consistent. You have to go on a regular basis. You have to uh, progressively move forward, lifting more and more weight. You have to change your diet. You have to change your sleep patterns. And as all these things coincide together, what happens is your muscles begin to get bigger, you begin to get healthier, your cardio begins to get better, and you begin to see the change, but it happens very, very, very slow. Very, very slow. So, a lot of people invalidate. This is the last point I want to make here before we start going into how to fix it. People invalidate their progress. A lot of people look at their progress and they go, I should have done that. I should have already done that. They don't give themselves credit for the progress that they've been making. Make sure that you give yourself, if nothing else, just say I'm making progress. I'm making progress and I'm not going backwards. We're going towards the goal. We're falling forward. If nothing else, we're falling forward. Step one, celebrate the small wins, the small steps. I was able to go to the gym. I was able to overcome my anger. I was able to talk to my boss about some things that have been going on at work. I was able to do whatever it is that you've been putting off to do. You've been able to use your mental fortitude and strength to overcome the urge and want not to do it because of depression, anxiety, trauma, whatever, and you push forward and you do it. Second is that you begin to start having repetition, just like with the gym example. Going to a therapist on a regular basis, getting regular exercise, getting the right amount of sleep, having the right routines, having healthier relationships, and having better emotional regulation. All of this comes slow over a period of time. And the last point I want to make is to stop expecting your progress to be linear. There's going to be mountains and there's going to be hills and there's going to be valleys and then there's going to be mountains that you're going to have to overcome. That's the great part about going through this process. There's going to be times when you got to work hard. There's going to be times when you can lay back. There's going to be times that you got to work hard. Just know that when you're going through one of those valley moments, that everything is not falling off the rails. Everything is going the way that it's supposed to, and you're moving forward. Healing is very slow, and oftentimes the patterns that we've developed over our lifetime can take years to learn or to cause our nervous system to learn new patterns. Take your time, take the steps, and you'll see success. If you've been able to get any information out of this content that's been able to help you today with your healing process, then I would kindly like it if you'd hit that like and subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave those in the comment section below. And please let me know, what is it that's something that you've been struggling with, and why does it feel to you like healing is taking such a long time? Thank you. We'll see you next time.